Hello, this is TFG1 Mike with the GeekCast Radio Network and Transformers ToyCast. I would just like to tell everybody that I'm very sorry with the audio quality for this episode. Every now and then the call recorder that I use messes up audio quality. I don't know why. When I play the Starscream clone thing, and when I play my My Name is Blur thing, please excuse that. It does echo. If you would like to fast forward that part, that's fine. But please listen to the discussion where myself, Kevin Bosque Dog Thompson, and the Goddamn Proto Man and Shane Big Bad Boombox talk about animated toys and One Universe toy. So please tune in to Transformers ToyCast Episode 9, Universally Animated. Thank you for listening.
Transformers! Holding me the eye. Transformers, robots in disguise. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Transformers.
Hello, and welcome to the 9th episode of Transformers ToyCast. This one will be titled Universally Animated, since 3 out of the 4 of us are talking animated toys, and then the other one is talking a universe toy. I am TFG1 Mike. I am joined by Big Bad Moonbox. Say hello.
Yo, hello.
Boss K-Dog, how are you?
How's it going, guys?
And the Goddamn Proto Man.
How you doing, people?
Doing pretty good. This is Boss K. This is Kevin's actually first appearance on ToyCast, so we're breaking his chair, even though he's been with me on Tooncast for the last 9 episodes.
And since this is an all Transformers thing, I should go by, or at least drop my Transformers name on there, Optimus Solo, for those of you that visit Transformer sites. That's what I always use on those.
Yeah, as well. So, again, this is one of those impromptu things. I just felt like recording something and got these guys on with me. I guess, do we want to do like any general chat before we actually get into the toy discussions? Like, how Kevin doesn't like animated?
That is a travesty.
You said to me in the Skype conversation, I will not buy those kitty-looking toys. So
I'm waiting for the punches to be thrown. No, I don't have. I don't doubt that they're excellent toys. I've heard, the transformability and etc. is not excellent. I'm not going to hate on them for that. They're just not the style that I don't collect all toys, all Transformers toys. I kind of pick and choose, and it's just one of the lines that I haven't chosen to collect yet. I go from G1 to a lot of Beast Wars, Beast Machines, Alternators, Cybertron. Animated I haven't got to.
Well, let me ask you this: have you seen the show?
No, I have not yet.
See, that's a big deal breaker right there. I think part of the reason why you own Beast Wars toys is probably because you enjoyed the show, correct?
Correct.
Well, there you go. So that's probably what's going to happen. You will buy toys. You just got to enjoy the fiction first. A lot of people are like that.
Yeah. Although I will say that with the Cybertron line, I have seen a couple episodes of that show. I'm not a big fan of the show, but
the dub is horrible. That's why.
I do like the Cybertron toys, though.
Oh yeah, well they're great toys. A lot of them. Galaxy Force Optimus Prime, or whatever you want to call them, just Optimus Prime is probably one of the best Optimus Prime toys made in a while. Period.
I think what'll happen eventually is one of my favorite characters or something I'll see in the animated line, and I'll pick it up, and then that'll start. But I used to work at Target, so I got a lot of toys while I worked there, and I don't work there anymore. I'm a teacher now, but it's kind of taken me away from the scene. So I wasn't there when animated came out. I didn't get to see them on the shelves every day, so I just haven't been exposed to them enough, I think.
Okay.
They grow on you.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're marvels of engineering. It's when you've, especially in my case, when you've owned so much and transformed so much, it's really nice to see a different way how a car turns into a robot, and or let's say a motorcycle or whatever, because they really did different twists and turns that are not commonalities with past Transformer toys.
Gotcha.
It's extremely different with animated compared to any other line that I've seen. And, I dare say animated has been the best line in the past 2 years. As everybody knows, I hate the movie toys, but
Blasphemy if you're not counting Universe as the best line of the last 2 years.
Sorry, the only universe here I have is Cyclonus, and that's the only one I like. Is the only one in stores the only other ones in stores I've seen is outside of those larger versions, just the deluxes, is Cheetor, Dinobot, and Smokescreen. And
shelf warmers.
Yes, exactly. Yes, or in Cheetor's case, not bought at all.
Oh man, it probably said, now comes with cancer. Probably would have sold better.
So who wants to go first today? I've got you guys on the list here, but I just want to know, does anybody have any preference?
No, not really, not for me.
Okay, well then you can go first.
Excellent. It's always the nail that gets stuck that gets struck with the hammer. All right, so I'll be starting off with the Seekers mold here. Actually, probably the most pain in the butt collectible pieces that I had so far, getting Skywarp and Sunstorm. Thank God Target decided to have that little mispricing error. But going into the figure, interesting alt mode. It's a futuristic Harrier jet. It has a little bit of kibble. Hands stick out a little bit. That's probably my only real complaint about the figure, the mold in general. I'm a little, as far as the Sunstorm figure goes, it's a little too Dayglow orange for my taste. I mean, it's one of those things where the light reflected off of my shelf one morning from the sun, and I was blinded when I woke up to Sunstorm's face. It was a bizarre way to wake up. It was like, what was it, Child's Play. Yeah, just like, come play with us. It's like, oh, no. But, no, in general, the figures are great. It's got great posability. The legs have a great, 360-degree swivel on the hips. 2 points of articulation before the knees. So you got the 360 on the actual the bottom of the hip, and then like a 180-degree bend that just for putting the legs in and out. I find it gives the figure some real stability. Okay, and there goes a missile. That is not a complaint, but definitely one of the pet peeves I have about this particular mold. Displaying it, you even breathe on the missiles; they go off. But good attention to detail. I don't know. Do you guys all have the at least one of these molds?
I have them all.
Yeah, Proto Man has everything.
Yeah,
that kind of goes without saying.
Yeah, but I mean, and it's no offense to you, Proto Man, but that's the problem with having you on a podcast. When somebody asks, "Do you guys have these?" I automatically know I have everything.
I probably shouldn't answer anymore.
No, I don't have them, and the reason why I don't have them is because I don't like the jet modes. The jet mode where the cockpit is, every time I've seen them in pictures, it looks so fat and it looks so ugly to me. I will never have the animated Seekers.
I don't really think they're all that bad, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion of the entire mold.
They do have some quality issues, the Voyager ones, but all in all, they're not bad figures. Again, my only other complaint I could think of is, well, it's a Starscream mold. It wasn't really unique on its transformation, but I can't blame them. They always try to keep that same, I guess, design aesthetic.
Yes.
I don't hate them, but I'm not crazy about them either. Although I do like the little, what are they called, activators. I love the Seeker activators. I think that's quite interesting how they were able to engineer the Voyager toy into such a small figure like that very nicely.
Yeah, they pulled that off excellently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I love a lot of activators in general. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I think the only complaint I have is I don't know if you guys have had problems with these, but I kept losing hands.
Really?
My first Starscream, I went through about 3 or 4 of them, just making sure the paint apps got right. Got it home. The left hand fell off before I even had a chance to get out of the box. 2 seconds later, a dog ate it. I really, you know what? At that point, I'm a completionist for keeping my figures all 100%. But gotta say, not gonna go digging through. Yeah. Thankfully, Optimus Scourge was nice enough to give me a complete set of Starscream forearms now. So if that happens again, at least I'm covered for one set.
You know, I got to admit the Skywarp when I'm looking at it online, the Skywarp one doesn't look too bad out of those. I looked at the Sunstorm and the Skywarp. The Skywarp's got a nice look to it.
Yeah, they're in general a great figure. I mean, what I'm seeing that really stands out in terms, because I'm an animated fanatic, is the light piping. I mean, a lot of these figures, I mean, some of them you really got to have the light hitting it just right. But with you know, you can just have ambient light in a room and it lights up these figures. I kind of wish that they might have done a little bit different light piping for each one of them, but it seems like they use the same you know, light piping back of the head on all three.
Yeah, that's gang molding, as it's called.
Oh.
You know, yeah. How it works is that they always gang mold the same mold for specific figures. Especially, again, it's a Decepticon, so they usually want to stick with the same colors for the eyes and any other clear plastics. Because, again, with any Transformer toy, and I stress this, any Transformer toy, whatever the clear plastic is on that toy, it's going to share it with all the other clear plastics on that toy. And when you gang mold, meaning like if there's a repaint of that mold, and they use a different clear plastic color for the same areas, it's going to be shared in the same areas. It kind of goes back to how it's all assembled in the factory when it's on like the, I guess, you know, if you ever built a model kit, you know, or it's on trees, it's kind of like that. So, I mean, it would be cool to have different colors, but it's really difficult. And then, you know, Hasbro will be like, well, since we did different colors, we're going to call it Premium Sunstorm and charge $2 more, you know. So.
Oh God, yeah, that's just one of those lovely ways. You know, we're going to give you 5 cents more of paint and charge you $2 more.
That's what premiums was. Hasbro going outside of the gang molding process. We're going to actually paint stuff differently outside of the normal process. But because we're making that extra effort, yeah, we got to charge you a little more now.
The only issue I have with not having different light piping for different characters, as far as that goes, on the animated line is Bumblebee, which they are going to be doing a deluxe Bumblebee Wasp repaint. I wish that they would have done the purple light piping to match the eyes from the show. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that again. See, it's an example of gang molding where it's like, well, there's clear plastics on the toy in vehicle mode that are blue, so it can't be again unless they did purple windows then or whatever.
Yeah.
That would have been the only way.
Yeah, that would have been.
I haven't seen it yet myself.
I haven't either, but I just know that it's coming eventually. I guess I don't know when. Of course,
it's going to be definitely part of the exclusives when they release Rodimus and RC and the others too. Like there's no official announcement where it's going to be and which exclusive it will be available to, but it is coming.
Now, is that going to be included with the going back to the Seekers, the Thundercracker that they were rumoring to make for a Voyager?
There's no word of Thundercracker, sadly.
Oh, okay. So that was just
we're just stuck with the activator for now.
Yeah, I still don't have him.
I thought
the one.
I thought there was
the one.
Voyager. Yeah, I thought there was Thundercracker, Starscream, Skywarp, and Sunstorm.
Nope. Thundercracker seemed to dodge that bullet for some reason, and they gave him a very purple activator toy, which, in all honesty, when I first picked it up off of the shelves, I actually thought it was Skywarp, like just a miscolored Skywarp kind of.
They kind of mixed around the color schemes a lot for animated, though. I mean, I think they were trying to, you know, as much as we all loved when they did that episode where they had the first clone, the one that actually had the traditional G1 colors, and then, you know, immediately killed it off to kind of say, yeah, you guys, you know, here's your taste, it's gone now. Enjoy your teal.
Well. Continue. I'll play off of it after.
Oh yeah, well, no, I mean that's something that I think that, you know, hopefully in BotCons in the future we'll possibly see some of these exclusive molds, maybe like a animated Games of Deception, and actually have the rest of the Seekers, including Slipstream, in there, to just kind of round that off, because I know that, you know, these 3 molds are great. I kind of wish that, you know, maybe like Fans Project or any of the other custom sites would do like the headsets, or maybe even release like, you know, new molded heads for the animated line just for the Seekers, for those people like myself who picked up a couple extra Sunstorms and was like, we could make that into a ramjet.
Oh yeah. Well, to mention the first thing, well, like Sunstorm, his colors are pretty dead on to the G1 toy of its same name, which was an eHobby exclusive, I believe, back in 2002 or something. where some of the other characters that are based on color, like Slipstream herself, a lot of people said, oh, she's a homage to the G2 Ramjet toy, or she's a homage to this, or she's a homage to that. According to Derek Wyatt, and even me, when he's mentioned this at TFCon, I kind of raised an eyebrow, and I'm like, that's a bit of a stretch. He said it's a homage to Overlord, who was a Japanese leader from Master Force, who was Decepticon, who was had two Power Masters, one that was a guy and one that was a girl. And even then, that's kind of a stretch because the colors don't really match up, but I digress. When you were saying, you'd like to see those in the future, that is a possibility with BotCon, because BotCon stated that they're not allowed to touch any of the movie molds ever for their exclusives.
Wow.
That's why we've gotten 3-4 years of Cybertron Universe / Classics and Energon toys, because they really have to milk those molds, because their first rule is they never use molds of the show that's currently on the air. That's why we didn't see any animated exclusives. And they have a 100% clause where they're not allowed to ever use the movie designs ever and their molds ever.
That's good.
So possibilities for next year.
How long was that again?
What do you mean?
Oh, I was just trying to bait you there. No, you're just saying that never use movie molds.
Apparently they're not allowed to ever use the designs ever. Ever. So they like Brian Savage at BotCon said it, and we're like, okay, so I guess that means we're going to be getting more repaint. I mean, I guess it's kind of good because it gives them an opportunity to focus on other pieces of fiction, because in all honesty, if they did use the movie molds, chances are, using that aesthetic, they'd be forced to write fiction that's movie-esque, I guess. So, if they're forced to use animated molds, that means we could get continuation of the animated story that we would all love to see.
Oh, yeah.
Very much.
And Marty Eisenberg, who worked on animated, prior to working on animated, was a comic book writer. So to see him continue animated through the written word would be great,
He also did Beast Machines.
Yes, he did a couple of episodes, too, which was so awesome.
As far as the Seekers go, like I said, it's just maybe down the line if they kind of grow on me, but the toys never have grown on me. I kind of like seeing them in the show. But before we go on to the next person, I want to play the Starscream clones.
Us against Megatron. Are you insane? I think I just sprang an oil leak. Silence, you fool. Megatron is a worthless pile of scrap metal compared to my genius. Brilliant observation, brilliant, but your genius pales in comparison to the genius of our leader, the original Starscream. I can listen to this one all day. What are you talking about? I am the original Starscream. Liar. I am the original Starscream. I never said I was the original Starscream. You just did right now. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't.
I haven't figured it out yet. He's a pathological liar. Each of us clones represents one aspect of your personality. He's a coward. He's an egomaniac. He's a suck-up. He's a liar.
I'm not. So which part of you come from?
Don't ask.
Yeah, I don't know what echo you guys are talking about, so...
Well, I got an echo, but I think I don't know if this is widespread, but isn't it? Doesn't she represent Starscream's crabbiness? To put it in a PG way.
Well, actually, Slipstream was invented because Starscream is the most beloved Transformer character by the female fandom, and a lot of times the female fandom, when they ask, well, what is that about Starscream which makes him so popular with female fans? And it's like 9 out of 10 female Transformer fans love Starscream. Like, it's their favorite character. And they said part of it has to do is that he has a feminine side. That it almost seems like if Megatron and Starscream had a gay relationship, he would be the chick, like you don't call anymore. So that being said, that's why when he asked Slipstream, what part of me are you, and she's like, don't ask, that's why.
I hate to reference the movie, but Starscream, I'm home.
Exactly. There's kind of that weird, ambiguous relationship that they have, and a lot of female fans, who are dying for any kind of relationships among the robots, they right away pick up on that.
Wow.
Why don't you go next, Proto Man? Who are you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about everyone's favorite Autobot douchebag, Sentinel Prime. Sentinel Prime. Well, I guess like I love to always do, I'll give a little history lesson first. The name Sentinel Prime originally stemmed from the Marvel G1 comic books. He was supposed to be the leader that came before Optimus Prime. In different retellings of that story, he was actually shot dead and handed the Matrix to Optimus, or alternatively in War Within, shot dead and then the Matrix given to Gravitas, which then was handed to Optimus Prime. Either way, he was a guy who pretty much had always bad luck on the opposite end of Megatron's gun. We fast forward to animated, and when they were designing a character that was supposed to be kind of the rival to Optimus Prime, like the bully kind of asshole character, originally the writer staff of animated was opting for this character to be named Rodimus Prime. And then Hasbro stepped in and said, yeah, we don't really want that name to be associated with that kind of character. So they went back into the pool and they're like, well, let's look at all the other primes that exist. And they decided to go with that one that kind of really had no character behind him, and that was Sentinel Prime. And that's how Sentinel Prime came to be. The only other interesting thing I could say about him is that his first appearance in the first episode of Animated, where we see him on the view screen, like snidely talking to Optimus Prime, he actually has a completely different torso design in that scene if you rewatch it. Where every scene that he appears in afterwards is the more standard look that he gets for the rest of the series, and what the toy is based on. So, yeah, getting into the toy, Sentinel Prime was actually one of those few figures I was actually very interested in getting. I mean, a snowplow, hey, you don't really get that much in Transformers, so that was something that was really different. He also came with his two standard weapons that he had in the show, which was pretty cool, and that he could hold them, which is nice. That even though it looks weird in vehicle mode, I like Transformer toys that could stow away their weapons in one way or another instead of just spraying around.
Don't you mean weapons? Don't you mean three weapons? His shield, his lance, and his friggin' chin.
Yeah, and a nice little note also, his dimple on his chin is actually a Phillips screw.
Oh.
So that's a nice little design aesthetic for a robot there. Instead of it just being a dimple, it's a screw. But yeah, so his toy's pretty cool. Very simple transformation. When I first saw the toy at BotCon 2008 when it was on display, I was quite shocked that they were able to even pull it off, because one thing that animated always seemed to surprise me with, and that's one thing I've always loved about animated, is looking at those show designs and seeing that robot mode and all its slick, like very animated, stylized aesthetic, and saying to myself, how the hell is that going to transform and look like that? And they always seem to pull it off somehow. And that's something I've always loved about the line, and Sentinel is another example of that, where I would see that he's supposed to be this big, truck that has a snowplow in front, and I'm saying like, oh, how is he going to get that like upper torso and that that large chest and everything, and still be able to like do that? And they managed to pull it off. They did a very good job. It does have its flaws, its figure. I wish that it might have been larger. Maybe even put it in a different price point completely. Because it's kind of sad that you could have him next to like Optimus Prime in his own deluxe scale, and he's kind of shorter than him, where in all his representations in the animated episodes, he was kind of like face to face or even a little larger, kind of like the large jock to the more timid Optimus Prime character.
Yeah. So,
again, what's kind of sad is he's kind of like shorter than Black Arachnia, who again was, when she was the lead of one, it was kind of like his, pseudo girlfriend. So the toy's kind of out of scale with everyone else, which is something that some animated toys suffer from, whether it be Deluxe Bumblebee or to some people Prowl. and Lockdown's a Decepticon, so maybe he's supposed to be larger than everyone else. But it's always been a kind of a little problem that's existed in the line, and Sentinel Prime is one of those people that suffer from it. He's still a great toy, great coloring. I love the face design. He has his little, I guess, chagrin smirk on there. He has his little tick ears because he's based off of the Tick, and also his voice actor was the original voice actor of the Tick. He comes with his power lance and his shield that he had in the second Headmaster episode that he used when he was hunting down the Headmaster. Just a really good toy. Nothing perfect, but a really cool toy all nonetheless. What's interesting is when the news got out that he was supposed to be Rodimus Prime, a lot of people noticed, and you can notice this too with your Sentinel Prime toy, that if you take in robot mode his, I guess you could call them the plow shovel that's normally rests on his chest, you could actually position him on his back and make it kind of like Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime's pointy spoiler back piece. So it makes
no.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, you can do it.
I got to try that.
That's just horrible. I'm sorry. And I'm talking about as far as mixing the characters. No.
Oh yes, of course, I wouldn't have been game for that either if they would have used Rodimus in that representation. But it's kind of interesting that the design was kind of there prior to the finalization of the figure. So, it's interesting. Of course, I'm much more happier with the Rodimus that we ended up with in the end, especially with the voice acting choice too of Judd Nelson. But Sentinel, great figure. Nothing to complain about. If you're someone who's an all-around Transformer collector, I really don't suggest you pick him up unless you get a good grip of the fiction and the character. Don't buy him just for the toy because you won't be happy then. But if you're a fan of animated, he's definitely in my top 10 of must-get figures. Just because he just represents something that's important to that whole story and just interesting. Yeah, so that's it.
Yes. Do you guys have? Well, I know Kevin, you haven't really a lot of the stuff, but I mean, Shane, do you guys have any other opinions on Sentinel?
In fact, I do. I think my biggest complaint with the Sentinel mold was I think it looked the most badass when he had the battle mask on. And I kind of, I know not all the figures, obviously you had Voyager Prime that had the flip-up battle mask, and that was pretty much it. And if you really wanted to go down that road, you could go to Repro Labels and get the Bumblebee and Prowl battle mask, respectively. But I really felt that it almost took a little bit away from the figure, not having that. And I definitely agree with Protoman that it should have been more of a Voyager or a larger price point figure, because there was a lot that was just that could have been a little bit more well represented. I think I have mentioned this before. His legs, if he had maybe another maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches from the knees down, I think it would have been. I could have even dealt with the deluxe mold just in height. I mean, they did it with Lockdown. They did an excellent job giving him that crazy vertical of a Voyager while maintaining that the deluxe price point. And overall the figure is great. I mean, I've had a couple of little problems with the shoulders not staying locked in, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it's a solid figure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to leave us with this, and we're going to go to break.
This is going to be a long orbital cycle.
I am TFG1 Mike with the Geekcast Radio Network. Visit geekcastradio.com, and I am here to tell you about the final 3 episodes of the TFG1 podcast. They will be released over the next week and a half. Episode 22 features reviews of The Burden Hardest to Bear, The Return of Optimus Prime Parts 1 and 2, and 2 other episodes. Also, episode 23 will be our Season 3 recap, where we discuss what we liked, what we didn't like overall of the Generation 1 cartoon's 3rd season. And then episode 24 will be Rebirth, which is the final episode of the TFG1 podcast. We will be discussing the final 3 U.S. episodes. The Japanese continuity will not be discussed on this podcast because it does not exist. Alright, we are back, and I think I'm going to have Kevin talk about his picks. So what are you talking about today, sir?
I'm talking about the Universe 2.0 Classic Power Glide figure. from 2008. Really like this figure. I know what the normal complaints are about it, obviously. A lot of people didn't like the inversion of the colors and the scale that it's done. But I got to say, I have most of the Universe Classic figures, at least the ones that are G1, G2 figures, and I like this one a lot. Couple things about it that I really like. I like the fact that when you hit the button, obviously you have the lights on both the what turns in the robot would be his chest, but also his eyes that are lighting up. Like that part about it. I like that when you're transforming him, it actually makes the transforming sound. I like the amount of articulation on this one, and I actually like the change of the colors. A couple things that are drawbacks of it. If, let's say, since from personal experience, your cat knocks it over or something like that, and it lands the wrong way, that sound will just go off forever. And even sometimes when you're transforming it, or like if I've moved a couple times recently, if you put it in the box wrong, if you're not very careful with it, that button can just be held down. It's got one of the, even though I like it a lot, it has one of the silliest features I've ever seen on a Transformer, which is when you raise the chest piece on it that has the Autobot logo, it reveals a heart.
And we all know what that's for, right? I hope.
Yeah, from the
episode, the girl who loves Power Glide.
Right. But yeah, I just never expected to see it on one of the actual figures. So I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, you can keep it covered up, but it just seems kind of silly. And the only thing I dislike about the actual making of the figure is it's very hard to find one where both wing pieces in robot mode will actually latch on to what you can call the shoulders. There's a little slat type thing, or a slot, whatever you want to call it, and it's supposed to click into the shoulders and keep it in place. And out of all the ones I've seen, I don't think I've ever seen one that both of them do it like consistently.
The Stormcloud mold has the same problem. I was just
because I was thinking to myself, I never noticed that on my Power Glide, but the Stormcloud one I have.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of pictures online, and I never seem to see one that's clicked in both of them. Like mine, they both will click in if you do it just right, but otherwise, if you're just kind of doing it quickly, you usually only get one of them to click fully into that.
Well, we're getting that mold again later on down the line with the quote G1 accurate colors. Maybe they fixed that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Version. Is that still supposed to be this year?
Yeah, it is this year.
So, and what he's talking about is the one that's supposed to be basically changing the colors back to the red.
It's done in the traditional Power Glide colors, and he's going to be shipped with a repaint of Onslaught called Hardhead, which is a homage to the Headmaster.
Oh, wow.
Character.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll have to wait until I see that one, actually, pictures of that one. But I don't mind this color change. I think it gives it a good look. I know it's not necessarily G1 accurate, but I actually like the way they did the colors. It looks more realistic to me as far as as representing the actual plane that it's supposed to be representing, the A-10 Thunderbolt.
A lot of people, when they see that color scheme, they make reference to Starsaber, who's the leader of the Autobots in the Transformer Victory series. And I actually kind of see that when people say that, because I didn't really think of that when I first saw it, but it has a lot of... I'll try to pull up a picture of it. There's a lot of similarities. Because Starsaber was also a big white jet who had a red head and also had a very similar shaped red head. So, yeah, I can also understand how they probably wanted to go for more a realistic look. It's kind of the same reason why Masterpiece Starscream was the way he was that first time around. It was because they wanted a jet that looked real rather than red, blue, and and gray.
A couple other things that are real good about this one is obviously as in most of the universe line, the missile launcher is really good. It doesn't stick at all. It shoots very far, a long way. It doesn't have the trigger happy that some of them do. It does actually take a little press to get it going, so it's not just going to fire off for no reason. The other thing is the landing gear. It has 3 different landing gear, and when you put those down, it rolls remarkably well. if you have a smooth, hard surface and you have all 3 landing gears, flip down, it rolls pretty well for a figure of its size. The only other thing I'll point out about it that is kind of a drawback, but I know they did it to make it G1 accurate, is the I guess you want to call it the missile that is under the cockpit, under the nose cone of the plane. How they have it off center, just like the G1 Power Glide had kind of the gun that was off centered. I know the reasoning behind why they did it. I just don't care for it in the figure because it makes it seem like it's off. It makes it seem like you did something wrong, even though you didn't.
Little bilateral symmetry problem.
Right. I guess I'm anal and OCD about things being perfectly squared and centered and stuff like that, so it bugs me a little bit. But it doesn't draw back to the awesomeness of this figure. The transforming from one mode to the other is not like super easy, but not so complex that you're going to get frustrated. It's easy enough once you've done it a few times. But I just really like this figure. I like it a lot. I had obviously the G1 version way back when, and I never really cared for it too much because of the feet and the arms, and it just wasn't.
It was very simple and boring, the original, yeah.
And I think my problem is I played with my toys so much when I was a kid that one of the, I guess you can call it feet, but one of the things that served as a foot was broken on mine. So
It
mine
couldn't stand anymore.
Yeah, it couldn't stand for anything. No matter what you do, it's not going to stand. So I like this one a lot, the 2008 version. I'm looking forward to seeing what the repaint looks like.
Well, I just thought, like Power Glide.
What's that?
I said I just had a thought, peg leg Power Glide.
Oh, nice. Oh, I forgot to mention the other little tidbit. I'm sure some of you guys are aware of this, but some may not be. But Power Glide is the only Generation 1 Transformer with 4 digits on both hands. And they did that on this one, too, I believe, if I'm counting right.
I never noticed that.
Nor did I.
So he's got a little bit of a little trivia bit there.
All right. I guess I will go, and here's who I will be talking about.
More to the point, the name's Blur. I'm an Autobot intelligence agent.
That's right, the Autobot intelligence agent from animated Blur. First of all, in the show, I wasn't even expecting the Blue Racer to be Blur until I kind of saw it early, in a later episode, and I was like, oh, cool, it's Blur. Hell yeah! And the greatest thing about Blur and animated is that John Machida Jr. reprised the role as. I'm very happy that they did that. Yeah, it is. Crap.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Now it's better.
Oh, Christ. Stupid. Okay, did anybody...
It's okay, we were able to hear you before, just not as well.
Okay. Well, Blur, as I said a second ago, the best thing about Blur was his G1 voice actor, John Machida Jr., was voicing him in this new series, and I just absolutely love that. The toy, when I first got him, he is extremely difficult to transform. And one of my main issues on any of the Transformers toy lines that I've seen in stores is that they specifically say on there level 3 advanced conversion. Now, if I'm a parent and I look at that, I'm like, my kid's not getting this. If I can't transform it, how the hell are they going to do it? Which I know all kids know how to do transformations and stuff. But, it took me probably 3 days to get this guy transformed. The first 2, he was legless. The legs completely popped off, and I couldn't get them back on. So, it's just crazy. I don't know. I really do like his car mode. And before... Can you guys hear me? Are you sure you guys...
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You know what, Mike? I have to say, I'm looking at the pictures of the animated Blur online, and I guess if so far out of all the ones that I've seen, if there was an animated figure that was gonna, bring me in and get me, I like the look of this figure.
Oh,
It is a very good figure. Actually, a lot of its design aesthetics were actually taken from the Transtech line that ended up never happening. Cheetor was supposed to be in the Transtech line. He was supposed to have a very similar design to Blur's, and ultimately in the end, a lot of those, I guess, tidbits and pieces that were used end up being used in this character. So it's kind of a history piece too.
Yeah, I do.
Which is interesting.
Both modes. I actually had to go back because I'm the type of person. Once I get my figures into robot mode, they stay in robot mode. So I had to actually go back to Walmart and buy another one because I wanted one for car mode. And his car mode, it's very, very sleek. His wheels, his back wheels, the wheel itself doesn't turn, but they have a little inline wheel, which is really, really cool. His front wheels turn, though, and it rolls very, very well for the most part. His robot mode, as I said before, he was legless for the first 2 days that I had him because his legs popped off, and it's like, oh, crap, screw this, I ain't dealing with it anymore. And it took me about a day and a half to get his backpack put down to where it's supposed to be, so you can actually put his hood energon saw on his back as a backpack. The energon saw is actually pretty funny. On the hood of the car that detaches, you can press the button and he comes out and it just looks like it's a clear, not clear, but it's a blue translucent type plastic for a saw, and that's really, really cool.
Which is also a nice nod to the original G1 toy that is hood detached to make some kind of shield weapon.
I did not know that.
I can't remember. Did we ever actually see that the energy saw in animated though?
No, he never used a weapon, Blur.
No, he never did.
He was known for his running.
Yes, his running,
Like the Flash.
running through space.
Yeah, and bouncing off planets.
Yes, and then getting
And clone faces.
well, and then getting turned into a thanks a lot, Dare
A cube.
An ice cube.
I just really like the face on this figure. The face and the head is, I think, what separates it for me.
Yeah, I got him up on my shelf just glaring over at Long Arm Prime. Just kind of like that. He's holding the saw going, you know what? Yeah, you're not hell.
My only issue with Blur, with his head, is his antenna that's on top of his head. In the car mode, I guess it's supposed to be an antenna for the car mode, and it's like this really, really weird rubbery plastic. And that's the only thing I really, really don't like about him.
It doesn't really sit in the slot that it's allotted for. I mean, it just kind of sits there static.
Yeah, exactly. If I was to start recommending animated figures to people, this would be probably number one on my list for people to get if they really wanted to get into animated. And I will probably be talking about more animated figures as ToyCast goes on, since that's the majority of what I have now. Just off the top of my head, the three that I would mainly recommend is the Blur figure, Jazz, and Elite Guard Bumblebee. Even though Elite Guard Bumblebee is not show accurate, he is a cool as hell toy.
Yeah, he had the fixed stingers, right? That's one of the molds that they actually fixed it for.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still haven't. I've yet to fix my original. I mean, I literally got it the day HTS was shipping out, and that's been my biggest complaint. Is just it's like, come on, just sit flush. From every angle when you first get it, it's like, okay, the thing should just sit in. Okay, why I want to go?
Actually,
Yeah, I broke my first one that way.
Actually, just on a side note on Bumblebee, on Elite Guard Bumblebee, I did not know this, but he does. I thought he just had stingers. I didn't realize he actually had hands. And one day I was fooling around and I'm like, oh crap, he has hands. Like, cool. I am going to send you guys a picture, and this is what I think the 2-pack of Shockwave and Activator's Bumblebee should have been. Overall,
Purple shock.
awesome. Other than the fact he is extremely hard to transform because where his legs are, it actually the legs move down and the arms move up, which really just I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Interesting. Going back to the Blur thing real quick. Interesting fact: if you count the entirety of the show, Blur is technically a triple changer.
Huh?
No, he turned into a cube.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I actually I got an extra blur here. I was actually thinking about just blowtorching down into a nice little box, but
Oh, you can't do that. That's
it's travesty. I know, that's why he's still sitting in his bubble prison waiting his fate.
He's alive according to Derek Wyatt's art. Somehow he survived.
Yeah, well, you know, I always I hate to go out and on fanfic here, but I always had this. I always imagined that, you know, the fact that Blur could move at those hyper speeds, eventually his spark could just rattle around enough to actually literally like kind of pound the dents out.
Yeah, shake them back together like
Yeah.
Waspinator style somehow. You know?
Exactly. Oh man, and it would be kind of cool if they almost came back with like maybe like that shattered glass Blur face. You know, like the one eye that's just not really quite there. He's got the monocle. He's a little disillusioned about everything. He's really
It's like, I'm here to get long arm. Whoa, you're not talking fast anymore. Yeah, that's right. I'm here to get long arm. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I would do if I was Blur is I would drop kick Cliff Jumper in the
Modes for specific characters. When he was doing Blur, at the same time, because Derek White was really excited about the Speed Racer movie when it was first being announced to come out, when he was designing animated. And he designed Blur's alt mode off of the original 1960s Mach 5 from Speed Racer.
I thought it looked very familiar to the original.
The toy, while obviously the underside is, you know, revealing the robot parts and everything, but in the show, when they show the underside of Blur's car mode, it's 100% designed aesthetically to look like the Mach 5, right up to the jumping jacks where they should be, although he doesn't use them, and what's called the half mono lights, which the Mach 5 had like these humongous headlights that were on the bottom end of the car. And like all those little like nods to Speed Racer are there, and obviously you see it from the top half here, but that was another little thing that's cool about the toy, was that it was a nod to Speed Racer, to my knowledge, when he did appear in animated, the Speed Racer movie came out that same week or something.
yeah, I think
Something like that.
Yeah, actually, I think that was the case.
They planned something like that. I remember reading about that, which was another interesting little nod. But anyways,
yes.
another cool thing.
You guys want to really discuss anything else as far as ToyCast? Because I'm pretty much done talking about Blur.
He's a great toy. He's probably also in my top 10 of animated figures. Another big suggestion. I love sexy car transformer toys, and he's definitely up there. He's one of the really nicer ones.
Do you have a number one figure for animated line?
You know what? That's a tough one, because I really want to say Voyager Prime, because he's really like just perfect. He's one of those figures that, like, you know, a lot of Transformer toys, when you pose it and then you put its back to you, it kind of looks ugly from the back, because it's kind of like where all the kibble and everything was hidden is now shown, obviously. Voyager Prime is one of those figures from every angle just looks perfect. It's just such a great... The fact that it has the mouthpiece thing is a nice touch. I think the only thing I can complain about it is its axe, and even then you could just get the axe off of any other Prime toy in the line, and it fits universally in his peg hole, which is great.
Oh, yeah, and then we'll also be getting that what do you call it,
the wing blade one down
Yeah.
the line. But so far, that's probably my number one. But again, that top 10 list, I can't really put a solid like 1 to 10.
Gotcha.
But it's just, you know, there's like at least 10 animated figures that are like must gets, because they're just so great. Again, you know, I have to stress this again. This line really just brought something different, and one of the reasons why, though, is because for years and years and years, as Transformer fans, we got very, very used to a Japanese aesthetic. We got very used to Transformer toys that were designed by the Japanese. Even Beast Wars, that we love so much, the toys were more or less designed in Japan. You know, so we got a fairly... You know, we got a fairly set in stone way of how we saw Transformer toys designed and everything. And then animated came around, a lot of people freaked out, but you have to realize it was made in America, and this is, you know, the way that they do things. You know, right now, American cartoons have this more stylized look to them, whether it be Teen Titans or Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's just, that's kind of the look that they're going for right now to battle the animes that are stealing their ratings. So, and it's working. Animated did very well. It made amazing ratings. The only reason why it actually stopped after 3 seasons was because of that, $800 million movie that came around that I don't think we have to name.
It's not only that; it's the fact that Cartoon Network doesn't know that they have a good thing when they have it, and they switch.
Well, they actually they said they had to stop it because when Revenge of the Fallen comes out, they want to focus on that property and then reveal a cartoon later on that's going to be based in the movie continuity. So.
Well, I also truly think that Cartoon Network dropped the ball. Not only that, but not.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Not Hasbro, but Cartoon Network dropped the ball. The simple fact that because all of their programming now is CN Real. How can you... and I've said this...
Definitely. Even Derek Wyatt has been complaining about it openly, how Cartoon Network is really going to hell, and he works there, so... he's paid to do designs and stuff for that network, and even he openly admits on his Twitter and everything how they're losing touch with what even the name of... He said that there's rumors going on that they might even change the name of the channel completely.
Oh, God. Not another anime network.
It might not even be called Cartoon Network anymore. It might be called something else. So...
Just waiting for that. Just waiting for the Hasbro channel.
You guys remember, I was we're all probably old enough here. When the Cartoon Network first started, it was I think I remember the first day, nonstop Scooby-Doo marathon.
Oh, that's because Cartoon Network at the time owned everything Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah,
Cartoon Network in the first 5 years was incredible.
Yeah.
SWAT Cats.
Go on, it's on.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Early 90s.
Early 90s rocked.
Almost as much as the late 80s.
Oh, I don't want to get into early 90s. I really don't want to get into early 90s and why it rocked so much. It's a long-winded rant about cartoons in general.
Well, maybe we can for another show.
Yeah.
That's a ToonCast.
Yeah, that's a ToonCast show. This is ToyCast.
It's kind of like I had to point out, and I'm not really going to go into depth or detail of this, but I had somebody on the PrediconEmpire.com/CafeSpark forums demanding that ToonCast get a new schedule with less shows that are filler. And, yeah, I don't get things too easily. Alright, so I guess we're going to close this out. I'm going to run through the closing really quick. Thank you for joining us here on Transformers ToyCast. There are several ways you can get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. The first is you can visit the GeekCastRadio.com website and find all the other GCRN podcasts there. The second is you can stop by PrediconEmpire.com/CafeSpark and get all your GCRN Transformers discussion topics there. The third is you can leave the show feedback on iTunes. Please do this. We do need reviews. 5-star feedback is appreciated. The fourth is you can visit our forum threads over at earth-2.net under the self-promotion section. And the fifth is the email address, which is tftoycast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The show name there is TFToycast. Mine is TFG1 Podcast. And what are your all's Twitters? Go one at a time.
Shane.
Yes.
Twitter.
Still working on the Twitter thing.
Working on it? What do you mean still working on it?
Oh, yeah. I have it, but I was actually trying to log in. Everybody else go. I'll just have to remember what my is.
Kevin.
Mine's Boss K-Dog, just BOSSKDAWG.
And Protoman.
And mine's Protoman X. Protoman with an X at the end. Because someone else took Protoman. God damn.
Alright. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Transformers ToyCast, even though it was sort of a train wreck, and wish that you will join us next time for our themed episode of All BotCon Part 1. For now, I am TFG1 Mike with...
Big Bad Boombox.
Boss
Goddamn
K-Dog.
Protoman. Oh, damn. We should have timed this better.
They got it.
Singing the world words of Optimus Prime.
Autobots, transform and roll out.
And thank you for listening. Until next time.